Good morning, sir. My name is Joshika. Today's first article topic is fraudulent claims. What is meant by claims? Fraudulent claim means a claim based on a misrepresentation of facts with the intention of wrongfully gaining insurance benefits. A fraudulent claim is also known as false insurance claim. In election postponement talk, Trump sought to cast doubts on integrity of electoral process. Here in this sentence, sought means try to find or get something, ask for advice or approval. Integrity, quality of being honest, upright or property. So the meaning of this sentence is there is a talk of postponing the elections. So in this talk, Trump approved to cast doubts, to ask doubts on quality of being honest of electoral process. Now, the what is meant by electoral process? Electoral process is something that actually election means a formal group discussion making process by which a population chooses one person to hold public. So what is meant by electoral process? Electoral process means the process of introducing fair electoral system where they are not in place on improving the fairness or effectiveness of existing systems. So there is a fair electoral system in which the effectiveness of existing systems should be improved. So let's start the article. President Donald Trump imperiled the confidence of his fellow citizens in November 2020 US presidential election when he asked via Twitter whether he ought to postpone it due to concerns surrounding the possibility of fraud owing to mail-in voting. So in this sentence, imperil means put a risk, endanger, jeopardize. So Mr. Trump, President Donald Trump, have put it a risk the confidence of his fellow citizens. Kept a risk of his fellow citizen in November 2020 in presidential elections of US. When he asked that to postpone these elections due to concerning surrounding the possibility of fraud owing in mail-in voting. So in mail-in voting there is a fraud going on in which people can cheat people. This form of voting, which includes absentee voting but can include broader measures for voting via the postal system, is expected to occur on a large scale owing to social distancing measures necessitated by the COVID-19 pandemic. So this voting, what is this voting means? Mail-in voting. This voting includes absentee voting, means the people who did not vote, means who are not able to vote. Those votes were also voted by some people, means a fraud voting. Absentee voting, but it also included broader measures for voting in the postal system. It is expected to occur on large scale owing to social distancing measures necessitated by COVID-19 pandemic. So it is said that it may be this fraud may be also become more due to this COVID-19 pandemic in which the social distancing measures are followed. His tweet has raised a furor. Furor means commotion, uproar, outcry, public anger. Speculations that the president may be toying with the idea of delaying the democratic exercise beyond November 3rd after trailing his Democratic challenger, former Vice President Joe Biden, in the opinion polls. So he tweeted to raise the furor, means a public anger, and wanted to delay the democratic exercise beyond November 3rd, means after November 3rd. After trailing a Democratic challenger, who is former Vice President Joe Biden, in the opinion polls. The US elections, the dates for which are fixed by federal statute through Congress, have never in history been delayed, including during the Civil War era and the World Wars. So here federal means having or relating to a system of government in which several states form a unity but remain independent in internal affairs. So the US elections were fixed in federal statute from Congress. In history, they were never delayed, even during Civil War era or World Wars. Further, 5 states offer universal mail-in voting to all the registered voters. So, other 5 states were offered to mail-in voting who were registered voters. Nevertheless, this is not even the first occasion in which the 45th president has lashed out at mail-in voting as a fraudulent process. So, lashed out means to suddenly attack someone or something physically or criticize him or her in an angry way. And as you know, fraudulent meaning obtained, done by, or involving deception, especially criminal deception. So here it means, the sentence means that in the first occasion on the 45th president have kicked out, means like attacked on him, lashed out, kicked out at mail-in voting as a fraudulent process. Next, in May 2020, he attacked the California government for sending out mail-in ballots and was swiftly fact-checked by Twitter, showing little evidence to support the claim that mail voting will lead to fraud. So in May 2020, the California government have attacked him for sending mail-in ballots and swiftly fact-checked by Twitter. So there was due to this, there has been a little evidence to say that mail-in voting has a fraud involved in that. While it is safe to assume that there is a near negligible chance of the election getting postponed, principally due to the wisdom of the country's founding fathers in separating powers across the executive, legislative, and judiciary, the bigger question that looms in the shadow of the first Trump presidency is the damage done to the fabric of American democracy so far. So we can there is a small chance of getting the postponing the elections, but there is a bigger question, means like principles of wisdom of countries founding fathers are separating power between legislative, judiciary, and executive. And the bigger question than this is that Trump first presidency have a very nice development, but there was also damage done in the fabric of American democracy. So there is a question about this. Yes. At the former level, Mr. Trump has suffered the ignominy of being only the third US president ever to get impeached by the House of Representatives on the serious charges of abuse of power, potentially including a compromise of national security involving a foreign government and of obstructing justice during a congressional investigation into allegations of wrongdoing against him. So here ignominy means I'm sorry. Ignominy means shame, humiliation, or disgrace, and uh, impeach means delay or prevent, and abuse, charges of abuse power. So the meaning of this sentence is that Trump has faced humiliation of being the third US president ever to be delayed or preventing the House of Representatives serious charges of abuse of power or potentially including a compromise of obstructing justice during a congressional investigation. So these allegations are wrongdoing against him. However, even this political embarrassment pales in comparison to the torrents of hateful rhetoric associated with his administration. So, here, pale means becoming pale from shock or fear, turn white, seem less important. The meaning here of pale is seem less important, and the meaning of rhetoric means the art of effective or persuasive speaking or writing, especially the exploitation of figures of speech and other compositional techniques. So here this sentence meaning that there was a political embarrassment and there was less importance of triumph comparison to the torrents of hateful or effective persuasive speaking or writing. So associated with administration. Racism, sexism, xenophobia, nativism, and economic and geopolitical isolationism appear to be the buzzwords that have shaped White House policy outlook since 2017. There was a policy called White House policy from 2017, which includes the topics of racism, sexism, xenophobia, nativism, economic, geopolitical isolationism. The sheer depth of rancor and disenchantment that this has generated across America can only be understood over the decades to come. So, in this sentence, rancor means bitterness or resentfulness, especially when long standing. So, and disenchantment means a feeling of disappointment about someone or something you previously respected or admired. So, the sheer depth of rancor means hurting and feeling of disappointment that is generated across America have stood over the decades to come. Now, with exactly 3 months remaining until the scheduled presidential poll, voters at the last have an opportunity to ask themselves whether their rightful indignation about elitism and stasis in Washington warranted electing in a president who brazenly disregarded innumerable tenets of the law. Indignation means anger or annoyance provoked by what is perceived as unfair treatment. So, the exactly 3 months are remaining for the presidential poll, and voters have an opportunity to ask themselves whether the rightful annoyance provoked by perceiving an unfair treatment. About elitism, elitism means the belief that a society or system should be led by an elite. So the indignation of society or system should be led by an elite and status. Status means a period or state of inactivity or equilibrium. So, in Washington, warranted electing in a president who brazenly disagreed innumerable tenets of the law. Brazenly means in a bold and shameless way. So, the president who, with a bold and shameless way, disregarded innumerable tenets of the law. So, this topic is about US President Trump. and elections conducted in the Washington. Thank you.